Here.
Jason, you're on?
Hello.
There you are, hey.
All right, here we go. We ready?
You're late.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna call this board meeting of the Washington County Board of Education. After a moment of silence, I'd like for Mr. Ganger to lead us in the pledge of the flag.
Everyone please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have this statement to read. Under the continuous provision of the state executive order to protect the safety and welfare of the public, the Washington County Board of Education meeting today is closed to the public. Several board members will be participating electronically in order to maintain transparency. The meeting is live streamed and an audio recording will be provided as requested. The live stream link can be found on the website www.wcde.org. Before I call the meeting to order, I am going to take attendance. Annette Buchanan.
Here.
Todd Ganger.
Present.
Chad Fleener.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
I was talking to Jennifer.
Jason Day.
Yes, sir.
Mary Beth Dillinger.
Yes.
Mitch Meredith.
Here.
David Hammonds.
Yes.
Philip McLean.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all for being here today. I need a motion to consider the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye. Now I need a motion for consideration of the meeting agenda.
Move for
So make a
approval of the
motion.
meeting agenda.
I have a motion. Mr. Fleener seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Day,
Yeah.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger, Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Ganger,
Aye.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye. Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I trust all 9 members can hear me. The first thing on my report is a nutrition update. I can tell you that we have served, or did serve, over 11,000 meals yesterday. We have probably exceeded 50,000 meals since this started, and we've had a lot of compliments on the quality of the food. It's maybe better than regular school food. Sourcing of food has become a problem. We are having to use a lot of prepackaged food rather than food that requires processing. The pandemic has changed the way food is packaged and delivered. Right Fine Art, our primary food processor, is struggling to meet the demand just of Washington County schools. Our workers are becoming a little overwhelmed. Kitchens that are normally serving a few hundred meals a day are now serving thousands of meals a day. If the board, particularly the kitchen manager, some of them are showing up at 5 in the morning and working till late in the evening, getting ready, taking deliveries, doing inventories, and all the things that are required. We do have an ample supply of volunteers among the teaching and administrative staffs. We will very soon have to move some of those teacher volunteers into the kitchens to help the cafeteria staff along those lines. So any questions about our nutrition report before I move to the next section?
There, I have a question.
Yeah,
No question, but comment.
go ahead, Annette.
I have been asked if we are getting repaid by each meal that was given, or if this is something that we won't be given back with the money.
We're not taking in any money on this one.
I know, but what, there's a rumor out there, and so I've been, asked several times. People who go and get the meals, are we being refunded for those by the federal government?
I'd understand from Caitlin that they'd waived something which allowed us to be reimbursed on a per meal basis. That's what, correct.
Let me say that we're probably going to have to eat it in FY20 because getting reimbursement from the feds is going to be a chore.
Okay.
Let me get you some better information on that because I don't think it's apples.
It's families that probably don't need the food, but they didn't want to take money out of the school system if it was going to give us money. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm going to get you some better information. It's not, I don't think we're getting money like on a per meal basis, but we are getting like commodities distributions. Like so many thousands of dollars to buy fresh fruits and so much for milk. But the board is going to have to incur a tremendous cost between now and June the 30th. And some part of it will be reimbursed, but I'll get you some better information
Okay.
on
Thank you.
that. Others?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I missed a couple of this week, and I mean, it was, I could see where it could be overwhelming for him at times, and I'd like to make a motion that we give the 4 cafeteria managers handling this an additional $5 an hour during this, we're doing this. It's well deserved.
Would that be under
And it's in
business
line with what many companies are doing, by the way, and some
director's report?
government entities.
David, can we bring that up in new business?
Well, since we were discussing it with the director's report, I just thought it was appropriate.
It wasn't in the agenda under an action item under the director's report, so I would prefer that we wait and handle it under new business, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay. Dr. Flannery, clarification, did you say that we distributed 11,000 meals yesterday? Over 11,000.
Just yesterday.
Now, that's usually, as I remember how Caitlin was explaining it, they're handing out like 3 meals.
You get 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches at one time.
So, okay.
That way we cut down on the number of days we have to operate and the number of human interactions.
So you're looking at roughly 2,000 kids or 2,000 people that if you're giving 6 per.
Yeah, something
So,
like
okay,
that.
I'm just trying to get the math. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I have a comment I'd like to make.
okay.
I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Flannery, Caitlin Kite, and the entire staff that's been taking care of our children. I appreciate the efforts and the success of what they've done to take care of Washington County students. Thank you.
Thank you for saying so. I'll pass that along.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to also add that too. That's a good point, Mr. McLean.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move ahead to, I want to give you a little update on what we're doing curriculum-wise. I'm just blown away by what our teachers are doing. A dynamic has presented itself that I didn't anticipate. A long moment.
We got some static there. Who's having problems?
I can't see
Hey.
y'all no.
He can mute himself, he knows how to unmute himself.
I can go inside.
You suggest.
Chad, can you see us?
Yeah, he could only see.
I can't.
So you can't say anymore.
I'm gonna shout over it. As I was saying, something has happened that we did not anticipate. I had a Zoom meeting yesterday with all the principals, and on the south side of the county, as many as 50% of our students are not able to access online learning activities. And it's not because of connectivity. It's because you can't do it on a phone. And people don't have laptops and desktops at home like they did at one time. In the advent of the smartphone, apparently people have quit purchasing these things. And what we're presenting, and it's not the Washington County website, it's everything available. It's just not, you just can't do it on this size of a screen. So about half of the kids that are doing work are doing hard copy packets. You see the bus parked upstairs. And we now, as of the day, we had to enlist the help of the graphic arts department at Crockett because the volume going out of here is so great. So we're going to incur some cost on reproductions, and that's okay because a lot of kids are taking advantage of it. I hear that on the north side, like at Gray Elementary, 100% of the 8th graders participate. At Sulphur Springs, it's less than 10%, so it's just all over the board. But we are getting a lot of good cooperation from parents. Teachers are calling students, emailing students. Some of them have actually gone to their homes, which is ill-advised, to encourage kids to stay involved. The local newspaper is putting some things out in this edition next week. So just really, really impressed and pleased by how families and parents and students are participating. Now, Mr. Chairman, I asked Dr. Keys and Dr. Kite to put together presentations. In BOE Connect, there are two videos and a slideshow. Video is very long. I've looked at all of them. They are impressive. There's Dr. Kite did about a 5-minute video, Dr. Keys a 14-minute video, and they produced together a 91-slide PowerPoint. We can show them, or you can, since they're in BOE Connect, each board member can look at them at their leisure. You cut down on the amount of time that we're in this meeting tonight, but either way, I encourage you to watch them. It is impressive. It's amazing what our teachers, what our coaches, and what our administrators have put together for our students to do during the school closure. So it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, whether or not we go into that.
Is it all right with everybody that we let you all just look at it at the BOE Connect and move on with the meeting?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But please don't take the time to do it because a lot of work went into it, and you will be impressed.
Is it available to the public?
Since it's in BOE Connect, it is.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, and because I mentioned it, it is now a public document.
right.
And I'm happy to send it to anybody that
well,
wants to see it.
yeah, if anybody out there watching wants to
It's
view
good
it,
stuff.
they can see. I look forward to watching.
Both of those ladies have never made a video before, and a lot of trial and error, and hats off to them. God bless them. So it was good. State Department update, we are having as many as 3 conference calls with the commissioner a week. That is, the superintendents are. Secretary DeVos is relaxing federal rules. She was never one for rules anyway, but she's really going wild and relaxing them. Waivers are being granted. The state has passed along an array of resources that we are finding very useful. The commissioner shared some research with superintendents this week. Studies have shown that students can lose as much as 30% of the previous school year's learning over a summer break. We have the potential of not having students back in class until August the 3rd, meaning that we will not see them or they will be out of school for 139 days. If a student has done nothing scholastic over that time, the research indicates they will retain virtually nothing they learned during the 1920 school year. It will be as if they never went to school at all. So that emphasizes how important these online activities and printed activities are. The State Department, and this is straight from the Commissioner, the State Department estimates it will take 3 academic years to overcome this time of school closure. Now, the CARES Act is something that's been all over the news. Roughly $260 million will come to Tennessee. They won't just send the money. They don't just send a check. At the end of April, the state has to file a plan on how it's going to be used. Then the feds will approve it or not approve it. Then and only then will money start flowing. I have seen one federal website indicating Washington County will be receiving just over $1.2 million. And again, they won't just send us a check. We'll have to file a plan. Basically, they'll say, here's how you can spend the money. You just pick from this menu. So it may be well into May, it may be June before we see how this is spent or how we can spend it. One of the options will be summer school this summer. I don't think that's going to happen. Extended time or extended school year in 2021. Put money into summer school in summer 21. We may be allowed to put the money into technology. One of the issues we've had, as I said, was with technology. The high schools have been approved to send Chromebooks home. Boone, I know, has issued or checked out about 75 Chromebooks. We don't have that capability in the K-8s right now. That may be something that we want to do. The board wants to do is allow us to start sending technology home to these kids. I can tell, I'll hit this later. Lastly, on the State Department, we are one of 34 Tennessee school systems that is partnering with the Governor's Early Literacy Foundation and Dolly Parton to send free books home to kids to their address, not here to be distributed, but actually to their front door. This will start in May. They'll get free books in May, June, and July, and all we have to do is just tell them where to send them. So we're real proud of that.
What ages is that?
Rising first, second, and third graders. So about 1,800 kids.
So
It's pretty sweet, Dee.
this is on past the birth to 5, right?
So first, second, and third grade.
Yes, current
Rising.
kindergarten, first and second graders, so rising first, second, and third graders. So a bunch of kids are going to get free books. Dolly's got deep pockets. I want to tell you that the state board met earlier today. They had 13 separate action items on their agenda, the majority of which will have an immediate impact on our day-to-day operation. TOS is hosting a webinar Tuesday, TSBA on Thursday, and the Commissioner on Friday to go over it, but it was very simple what they did. I'm going to put into tomorrow morning's weekly update what they did. There'll be quite a bit on there, but I'll go through it with you. But they have given us a way to go ahead and give every student a grade for this year. They have given us a way to go ahead and give our seniors a diploma this year. But right now, Mr. Chairman, I need some help from you. I need to recommend suspension of 2 Washington County Board of Education policies just for this year. One of them is 4.605, graduation requirements. Because if that policy is still in place, there's no way we'll have any graduates. And the second one is 4.700 grading systems. I need to ask you to suspend that for the 1920 school year because there are requirements in there that will not allow us to give students grades. So if you want to take that up under new business, that's great, but I do need to ask and recommend that you suspend those 2 policies just for this year so that we can comply with what the state board did earlier this afternoon.
If you don't care, let's bring it up in new business.
That's perfectly fine. And let me see, Mr. Chairman, I believe that is 100% of what I needed to go over with you this evening.
Well, I feel like, what you said about the kids not, maybe it's going to forget everything and they're going to be out of school for 130 some days. I don't feel that way. I honest to God feel like our teachers and our kids are smart. I mean, yeah, they may forget a little bit, but they're not gonna forget that much. I can't see it. I just cannot see it.
You know, my kids are working every single day.
Well, I mean, you know, these kids, it's,
We do have a percentage of families and students that absolutely refuse to do any work whatsoever. They won't get online and they won't pick up anything, and basically they've gone back to the woods.
They work themselves.
And, yeah,
oh,
and I hope you're right, and I pray that you're right, but we're gonna lose some ground.
So could
What?
Chromebooks be sent home with the 6th through 8th graders? Because they are the ones that have
It will
emails.
require board action.
It will require board action.
Yes, ma'am.
So can we pick that up in our new business, please?
Yeah.
Well, there is there's a hiccup there. Not every school has enough Chromebooks. We've only got 4 schools that, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 1-to-1 right
But if
We
you're
would-
doing just 6 through 8,
We would have enough to accommodate the grades that she's talking about. It would mean pulling them out of
there.
the
Yeah.
lower grades that aren't being used right now anyway.
If you'll give us the latitude at this meeting, we'll find a way to do it immediately.
let me ask you another question. Does it take the state to do this, or can this board say, when we start school back in August,
August the 3rd.
can the kids be taught what the previous grade they was in for the first 4 weeks?
The commissioner has already indicated that they're going to revise every standard to account for the fact that we missed this much instruction.
not
Well, I mean, you know, we've missed, what, 3 weeks?
Missed 29% of the school year. So if we don't go back, we will have missed 29% of the school year. Now, granted, a lot of that's testing, and a lot of that in May. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's what I know. So, Chad, you have a question?
Yeah, I was reading on the state school board or the state department, I can't remember which one it was, but they were saying that, you know, grades were gonna be, could be froze, or they could be,
I'll speak to that. One of the things that I was gonna make you aware of tomorrow, but since you brought it up, March the 20th is when school shut down, and what the state board said is, the grade that the child had on March the 20th is the child's grade, and it can't go down. But if the child does online work, if the child submits work, does packet work, and the teacher grades it, assesses it, and chooses to increase the grade, they can do so. So if a kid quits school on March 20th with a C, the kid can work through the end of this year and get an A. But it can't go down. Also, we cannot take roll and call an absence unexcused and thereby hurt the child. We can take roll, but we can't have an excused or unexcused absence. That's another thing that's in the new rule.
Mary Beth?
Okay, I was listening to the update today, and he had Commissioner Swin on there. We are now closed through April 24th. Has there been a decision, or will there be a decision in the next few days about the remaining school year?
Governor Lee said in his press conference about 30 minutes ago that he has not made any plans at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McLean?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I thought you had your hand up.
No, I was trying to get your attention from Mary Beth.
All right.
So we're not, most of our K-8s, I'm not talking about high school, were they not done with their pacing guides? Were we not going, fixing to roll into TCAP review and TCAP time?
Yeah.
So pretty much, most of our kids have covered all their standards for the year. So if they continue to work online with IXL and different things like that, that should be enough to retain
Yeah.
everything, because the pacing guides were finished.
I don't think that's overly optimistic to think that. You're right. In school, about April the 1st, when TCAP start, you know as well as anyone, we about have to have our standards taught.
Yeah, our standards are taught, so as far as them not finishing the grade that they were in, they were pretty much finished standard-wise. Now, you know, learning continues to go on and things after TCAPs, but that grade standard-wise was pretty much sealed up.
It's still though so important for them to stay engaged.
Yes,
Get
it
through-
is.
Right on up through August.
I agree, and I agree it's important for them to stay engaged with reading and things like that during the summer.
Yeah.
I just, we just need to encourage, that at home, and that's why I was saying maybe those who don't have the connectivity for the 6 through 8, they would, benefit by letting them check out and, bring back.
Or they do have connectivity, just don't have a device to use it.
Right,
Yeah, that's what we'll work on.
okay.
Okay, is that all, Mr. Director?
Unless another board member has a question or comment.
All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Chad?
What was the other policy that you said needs to be suspended if you don't care?
The one on graduation requirements and the one on grading systems, and it's just a couple of little items in the grading systems. But we do need to suspend that just to make sure that we're not in conflict with what the state board did today.
Okay, thank you.
Review the insurance bid. Does everybody have a copy of that? Planner, could you
I
go over
was
that?
able to pull it up.
Do I have a recommendation?
I need some questions on the insurance.
Okay,
Is that pretty much, can you hear me?
Barely.
I was just wanting to know, is that apples to apples comparison between each other?
I understand that it is, yes.
Okay, well, do we not, what are the ups and downs of getting those two, since we're saving this much money? Would we be better off to, do anything different as far as the two bids for the optional umbrella and the optional replacement cost of buses? What's the key components of that?
Best I can do, Mr. Fleener, I've got the phone number here of Mark Sizemore. He's the president of Johnson City Wofford Brothers Insurance. He is the broker that assisted us in obtaining these bids, and he's standing by to take a cell phone call to answer any question you might have. Mr. Chairman, shall I call Mr. Sizemore?
yeah, call him.
No. I don't have to relay questions because he will be on.
I just think them two options may be beneficial, especially if we're going to spend
Mr.
this money.
Sizemore, this is Bill Flannery of Washington County Superintendent of Schools. I've got you on a speakerphone here with the Board of Education, and I'm going to relay some questions to you.
Okay.
One board member is interested in the comparison between the two bids. Is it apples and apples, apples and oranges? How would you compare and contrast the two bids?
The two bids, we reached out to our two favorite partners, which is the renewal of the Tennessee Risk Management Trust and then the Public Risk Insurers. The Tennessee Risk Management Trust came back in at $1,056,248. The public risk was $779,440. I've gone through both bids thoroughly. They're pretty much identical. There's auto both have on physical damage a $500 deductible, which is really pretty low for the equipment you have. E&O O, both have a $2,500 deductible. On the property, the Tennessee Trust, School Board Risk Management Trust has a $500 deductible on property, and Public Risk has a $1,000 deductible. You know, you don't have that many property losses a year. If you had 10, it wouldn't be $5,000, so it wouldn't offset it. On the auto liability, both policies have neither policy has a aggregate. So it's $1 million per loss. Every time you have a bus accident, it has $1 million worth of coverage. And of course, you're protected by the Government Tort Liability Act in Tennessee that caps you at $750,000. So auto is not an issue. The other small difference I see is general liability. The Public Risk Insurers has $1 million per occurrence with $1 million aggregate. The Tennessee Risk Management Trust has $1 million per occurrence with no aggregate. So, property deductible and $500 difference in that. No aggregate on general liability. That's the only two differences that I can really determine on this. Now, on Public Risk, they have some coverages that the Tennessee Risk Management Trust doesn't have. Their legal expenses are outside the limit. So if you have $1 million limit and they spend $1 million worth of legal expense, you still have $1 million bucket to draw from. So it doesn't erode that limit. They do cover back wages on employment practices. They have a couple of options. If you have any school buses 15 years and newer, you can pay an additional $5,700 a year, and Liberty Mutual will replace the bus with a new bus. So if you have a 10-year-old school bus that's worth $50,000 and you reckon it's a total loss, they're going to buy you a 2020 school bus, which, you know, what are they, about $110,000 now?
About 85,000.
Okay. They do have quoted an optional umbrella, $1 million umbrella, which caps all liability policies for an additional $22,000. And even if you put the option for the school buses on there, the replacement cost of the school buses and the umbrella, the $1 million umbrella, and why that is important at all, if you're protected in Tennessee. If you drive in Tennessee, you have an accident, you have that Tennessee court liability of $750,000. But if you took a car in Virginia or North Carolina to a meeting or something and you had an accident, you're not protected by the Tennessee tort liability cap. So that's why she quoted an additional $1 million umbrella. But even if you put the $1 million excess, the replacement cost on the buses, you're still at $812,000 versus $1 million. You're still 37% less. And I've talked to both insurers and even Tennessee Risk Management Trust. They feel that, you know, they just got beat on this one. Yeah, I've gone back to both insurers many times, going over differences, if there are differences, if there are additional coverages, you know, they just, like Tom said, we just got beat on this one.
So the recommendation is for the optional umbrella and the optional buses is the recommendation of Mr. Sizemore.
So Mr. Sizemore, board member wants to know that, are you therefore recommending the additional coverage, the umbrella coverage, and the bus coverage?
Dr. Flannery, do any of the school buses or the vehicles go out of the state of Tennessee?
Rarely. If anything that leaves the state is usually a white fleet vehicle or a rented vehicle.
Right.
Don't we play Gate City football every year? Every other year we travel up there?
Yeah, but I guess that's a few miles out of the county, out of the state.
I mean, that's
Well, if you leave the state and you have an accident, you're pretty much open-ended after $1 million. So that's why I would recommend the umbrella coverage. If you never left the state, I probably wouldn't buy the umbrella coverage. So if you,
So do we have any field trips that go out of state? Dr. Flanders?
Constantly. We go to
do your
Ashland.
sports buses go out when you take ball teams? Do you go out of state or do you go?
I'm thinking, we have people go over to Biltmore constantly, and it's usually in a school bus.
Okay, I would highly recommend the excess umbrella policy just for that reason. You remember the school bus accident? Years back, you know, we were capped in Tennessee at 750,000. Had that been in North Carolina, it would have been a very big claim.
Yeah.
So, but even if you put that umbrella on it, you're still close to 30. You're still $250,000 less with public risk than you are with the trust. Now, if you go out of the trust didn't quote an excess umbrella, the most they're going to pay out on a school bus wreck, if it's in, no matter where it is $1 million.
I'd like to make a motion then that we go with both those options and the 700, I think for the total of 784,610. Is that correct?
Mr. Sizemore, a board
Yes,
member has made a motion to go with the low bid plus the two options.
Okay.
I have a second.
Second,
Wait.
with public
Is
risk.
that with public risk?
And you know, this doesn't come up till 7/1, so we have plenty of time to get you out, get the school board and get the finance department acclimated to the new carrier. So it's not like we're having to do this tomorrow.
That is
Mr. Chairman.
public risk, right, Chad?
The $784,610.
Okay. Mr. McLean, you had something?
Yes, based on the way I'm looking at this, I'm not looking at the documents. What is the net savings between the current company that we currently have and this new low price company? What's the
Well,
actual savings?
if you take the, I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. If you add the umbrella, the savings is $243,761 if you take those two options.
Okay, I have a simple comment, and that is, in the 16 years that I've been on the board, the current insurance company that we have has been, in my opinion, outstanding in responding to our needs. That's my comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Ganger?
Mr. Sizemore, that difference that you said was that was with the new quote, was it not?
That's correct. If you're comparing the two quotes, if you compare your current price, it's even more than that.
You're looking at 450,000 at the current price, because we're paying 1.2 million now, if I remember right. And you know, they did come down, but still, you know, if we hadn't bid this out, we'd be paying the 1.2 or more. And good thing we bid it out, because ultimately we're saving close to $500,000.
Did you second the motion,
Yes.
Mr. Ganger? Any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
No?
Mr. Ganger,
Mr.
Mr. Meredith,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Irvin.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, Mr.
I
Ganger?
got one more question for Mr. Sizemore
Yeah.
before we get rid of him. Is he still there?
Yes.
Mr. Sizemore,
Tennessee Risk Management.
Yes, sir.
can you tell the board if there's any more potential savings that we could get if we were to become a drug-free workplace?
If the school system becomes a drug-free workplace, you'll save an additional 5% on your workers' compensation premium, which is approximately just a little over $14,000. Now, if the school board's interested in that, we do the training, we do, we even pay for the post-accident drug test, things like that. It's pre-employment, random drug test, and but the state of Tennessee has allowed carriers to give a 5% discount for drug-free workplace.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to just ask if we can have Dr. Flannery look into that and see what all it amounts to. Exactly all we'd have to do. How many drug tests a month? I guess you'd have to have, or
Jennifer, can you put that on next month's agenda under my report, please? I'll have something in 30 days.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Sizemore, thank you for your help. The board has taken the low bid, and we will be in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Let's see, review of financials.
Let me get Mr. Hale on the phone. He'll walk you through it. Brad, you're on speakerphone with the school board, and they are ready for you to walk them through this month's finance report.
We will go to, of course, the first document is the agenda, and I guess, Jennifer?
Yes.
I think we lost it.
I actually put the microphone up against the hang up button. I won't do that again, okay? All right. Let's see if I can do better this time. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just start, and just let me know if anybody cannot hear me, but just with the first document is simply your agenda, so let me just briefly give you a summary. We'll go over the standard monthly general fund financial statement and the federal fund financial statements. And then what we'll go over is the expense component of the FY21 budget draft and how it's formatted, what's in it, what are we still waiting on. And this was just in conjunction with the calendar we made for the first board meeting so that you could at least see it and talk about where we are in that process. Does anyone have any questions before we go any further?
Go ahead.
Okay. So now for document number 2, I'll wait till that item is up. It's the narrative, and I'll wait till that comes up on the screen. And what I'll do, since this is on speakerphone, is I will get the high dollar amount items, and then of course any questions on any of the other we'll go over. But first on the page 1, the current property tax, that's one of our big 3, as I call it, for funding sources. So nearly $4 million came in February, and that's pretty consistent with February of the prior year due to timing and the way they came in. About 140,000 more came in last February, but that's just timing. That doesn't mean we got 140,000 more last year. That's just simply timing of the February financials. And on this page, the second larger item would be on the bottom, the local sales tax, and this was a net increase. This, we, for the month of February, on the February financials, which would have came from December, we got $1,729,590. And that was a true net increase from the prior year. In February, we had that 138,000 more. And so we'll certainly be talking about sales tax more in this budget season. As everyone knows, this is going to be uncharted territory in estimating what sales tax will be, especially starting with the June financials. But we'll talk more of that as we get into budget season, or to the budget workshops and on the budget part of this call. So, continuing to go forward with this, on page 2, the business tax, that would have been timing. We had 17,192, 7,000 less than last February, but that's mostly timing. The other one about halfway down this page, community service, that's the school aid child care program. Very consistent with the prior year, 43,431. It is 1,600 less, but that's still pretty close. And then going to the next page, that's where we have our BEP, about halfway down the page. I'll talk a little bit about that. So for this month, we got $3,674,200. Now that's $204,100 more than February of the prior year. Part of that is just the BEP increase in actual funding, but you'll notice I have 111,000 referenced as BEP growth funds. Since our enrollment has increased this year, we actually got growth funding this year that was unbudgeted because we didn't know we was going to get it. We didn't budget last year. We are due to potentially get another BEP growth dollar amount in the June BEP, but we don't know exactly how the state's going to be, how they're going to be handling the attendance since schools are closed now. So when we were first told about this a month or two back, we were going to get the payment on this on February, and then in June they will recalculate a final growth fund. I have not been told what the effect of that's going to be for June with the school closures throughout the state. Next on this one, go down to other state funds, item 46590, it's 101,000, and 100,000 of that was just timing of the coordinated school health grant. So, so that knows the whole amount there. The next was a CCFO program stipend reimbursement from the state for $1,076.50.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
Is that 100,000 school grant? Is that something that our grant writer brought in?
I think that was Chad, and I'm sorry that I couldn't understand that. Can somebody repeat that question?
Ask again.
Is that
I think Chad asked the question, but I'm not sure on that.
Was that 100,000 coordinated school health grant? Is that what our grant writer brought in?
No, that's a regular yearly grant, and that 100,000 has been the same each year that I've been here so far.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, going to the next page.
I didn't need it near the phone, so I didn't hear. I guess I understood what you meant.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, going on to page 4. And so the top section, other state grants, that's the transition school to work grant, which is a normal yearly grant. There was 2 months of that, of the funding came in this month, but that's just timing of the state processing those reimbursements. So a total of $32,234 this month. And next on the ROTC, that's just simply timing of the ROTC grants that's received. But this brings us to the summary, and we'll focus on for just a moment. So the revenue for February of 2020 was 9,667,000 and some change, and you'll see that is about 351,000 more than February of 2019. So the main reason for that is the sales tax increase, the 138, and then the BEP funding that increased by 204. Now, other key variances I have listed there. The property tax, they did come in at 140 less due to timing, but a lot of that was offset by the state funds with 101,000 due to timing, and then other state grant was increased by 16,056 for the transition school work grant. That's due to timing issues, so not actual increases. That's a overall summary of the revenue. But before I go forward into expense, I'll pause and just see if there's any other questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. So under the, and I won't go over each one of these, but certainly I'll stop for any questions. Of course, the first key expenditure, bottom of page 4, that is your university school revenue portion that they received by contract in February, for the month of February 2020. Actually, that's in 2019, but it actually should be 2020. But that was their portion at 385,000 and some change. On to the next page, page 5. Some of you can read over some of the key expenses there. The playground equipment is the complement, $71,100,499, and that was just the sale of the old Boones Creek Elementary School playground equipment. Those funds were not transferred to the new Boones Creek Activity Fund. So that's just where we wrote that out of the general fund reimbursed, or we would pay for that sale. The motor vehicle, this is something that's new, but that was funded. It was a small amount, so it didn't require special approval or bidding. It was $3,000, and it was purchased out of CTE funds out of the general fund, not federal, and it is for an automobile that was purchased for the CTE program, be based out of Crockett, but my understanding is it can be used in either program. And then next, pretty standard each month under contracted services, $8,092. That's Mini Miracles for OT and PT for SPED. And then some IT supplies in the next two. 4406 total. You can see a Twix Casper for $29.95 and CenturyLink service call that was $1,212.50. And then some IT supplies in 72,254.99. For it looks like some laser printers and Chromebooks and some 22 Dell Optic units that you can see there. And going on to the next page, page 6, getting into the maintenance section at 72,610 to 399 and 599. I certainly won't read each of those line by line, but you can see the items that make up those key expenses in that section. Then, of course, in 72,623.36, worth mentioning was 2 water heaters were replaced at Bridgeview School, totaling $67,6314. And then the 72,624.99 other supplies. I won't read each one of those, but you can see the breakdown of some of the other key expenses who goes through maintenance since this month, for the month of February. And then the last item on this page is title 72,627.01, and you can see 40,812, and that is broken down for food service equipment upgrades at 7,500, and then the 32,756 with the 60% installation fee for the David Crockett High School softball lighting project.
Hey, Brad, question on that, if I might. Well, 2 things. One, are the lights up yet? Okay, still in process. And the second is why did we charge the food service equipment to administration equipment and not pay it out of food service fund?
That was funds that was carryover from last year's budget, where the board had approved around 50,000 for food service upgrades out of the general fund, and that money was not expensed in FY19 in full, so that was a carryover from a prior board approval for from FY 19 that was in the FY 20 budget.
So we did rebudget that in the current year?
We did in FY 20, that's correct. Not the full 40, only the portion that was not used from the prior year. Or the 50, it was, I'll have to get the exact amount, but between 40 and 50,000 originally that was originally approved by the board.
Thank you.
Okay. And then page 7 gives you the summary of expenses for February of 2020. You can see 5,682,000 some change versus 6,341,000 for the prior year. So we had 658,000 less in expenses this February. And the two main contributing factors was simply timing. The university school payment was 499,000 less just because of timing of two payments in the last February instead of one. And then the 260,000 county debt service payment that the school system's paying for 10 years, which I believe is only 3 to go, that's in February instead of January prior year. So those are just timing. It wasn't actual less expenses for the year as a whole, but for timing purposes, for the month of February, it was less. And I'll pause there in case anyone else has some questions.
Anybody? Go ahead, Brad.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I believe you said go ahead. So,
Yeah.
Document number 3 is just simply the sales tax tracking over the last about 20 years. There is a way you can go to the view and enlarge that for view, but viewing purposes, but it's basically just shows you the tracking for the year and where we were in comparison with last year. So if any of you are able to go to that view feature, there is a way to enlarge that print where you can see it more on the screen. The screen that I see it on, it's kind of fuzzy, but certainly so far, year to date, we're doing exceptionally good. We're actually 552,000 ahead of where we were last year at this same time. And it's good to have that cushion, not knowing what sales tax is going to do exactly, and when it starts hitting the financials in the next couple of months. Okay, we'll move forward to document number 4, which will be the general fund payables. And again, you can go to that view feature and enlarge the font. For those of you that looked at this, you'll notice that there's something that shows a little different on this month's report. And there's something that I noticed in Skyward that wasn't checked as far as a filter. And when we do bank reconciliations, we have to do this, but evidently when Skyward was set up back in January of 16, the filter wasn't checked to include checks that are paid out of liability accounts. And I thought it would be good if the board was able to see that. Now, if it ends up being confusing, I'll go back to the old way. But for example, you have health insurance where you have the board contribution that hits the expense report. You've been seeing those. You've been seeing those totals on here. But those, the way the system does that, you've been seeing those totals on the expense report. But what the system does is Skyward will take the board contribution to health insurance and put it into a liability account on the balance sheet. There's another component to that, employee contribution to the health insurance. It also goes to an account on the balance sheet, but a different liability account. When the check's actually paid to the state insurance plan, it's written out of the liability accounts. So, what I did on this one is you'll notice on the accountant column, the second column from the left, you'll see HBCT. All those numbers start with 7. Those are expense accounts. You'll notice on the second page near the top, you'll have a couple of accounts that start with the number 2. The number 2 represents liability account. And throughout this, payables report, you will see embedded in there some accounts that start with the number 2 instead of 7. Those are liability accounts, meaning the checks were written off the balance sheet, and those you have not seen before. And mainly they're the contribution, medical insurance contributions from the employees, other payroll deductions, dental, vision, life insurance. But nonetheless, for auditing purposes, the state auditors still audit those checks because it's still a check that comes out of the school account. But if that gets confusing, we can go back to the old way. But I thought this is really a more accurate way for you to see what the real checks are that come out of the school fund. But with that being said, the payables report is pretty standard in length, about 13 pages this month. Does anyone have any questions on any specific item over this general fund payables report before we go any further?
Well, I do, since you were talking about the payments for the liabilities. First Horizon Bank, is that all, we've got all these checks payable to First Horizon? Is that your tax deposit, or is that tax deposit and stuff that's being wired? What does it consist of?
It's mostly payroll taxes. The payroll tax liability that we have to pay to the IRS is mostly what that is. Now, if you tell me a specific one, I can drill down into exactly what that is, like on page 2, for example. Near the top, you'll have items 2, 3, and 4. Every one of those is payroll taxes, that'd be FICA, Medicare, and income tax.
Right.
So you'll see a lot of those because, and especially when you get to federal projects, because each employee in each grant, there'll be a different grant number for that. So you'll have that the same one repeating, as far as when I say the same one, like a 21310 liability, 21320, 21325. There'll be one of those for each grant.
Got you. Okay.
Hey, Brad, what about on page 12, the CHLIC? What is that?
Could you ask him again, please?
On page 12, the CHLIC, what is that, Brad?
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but I think you said CHLIC, and that's Cigna. That's going to be your dental and vision. If someone could tell me what page.
12, page 12, Brad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a chunk of money.
Okay, page 12. Yes, that is payroll deductions. So the board does not pay towards dental and vision. That is 100% employee funded. So those amounts do not hit the expense report because it's not an expense to the board. But when the money is deducted from the employee's payroll account, it goes into those liability accounts, 21339, 21353, and then it is actually paid out. That's payroll deductions for dental and vision. And it looks like part of the life, I believe that's 71100-299 where it's listed. I'll double check that, but I believe that could be part of the life plans too, as far as insurance or another type of insurance plan that does get the expense reports at 154070. I can verify that. So there's a lot of different plans and options and employees gets to choose from. So all these are, of course, tracked. Whether it be they hit, when it's 100% employee contribution, it hits the liability accounts. When the board has a contribution, it'll hit the expense account, which is a 7, starts with a 7 on the expense account. But that would have been, that 32,000 would have been the payroll deductions for that specific check run that would have hit the books on February 28th. So each check run, you'll have one of these. So that's why you'll see them throughout the month. Because every time you have a check run or a payroll, and you remember we have multiple schedules, we'll have 1 month, and then we'll have bi-weekly payroll, and then we'll have several that, while they're get paid once a month. It'll be on different days of the month. So each time we have a payroll, you will see that hit the balance sheet. All right. Any other questions on the payables?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the next document that we can pull up is the number 5. We typically don't spend a great deal of time. It's just for the sake of knowing, but everything you just saw on the payables report that is a 7, starts with an account 7. We could say a 7,000 account, starts with the number 7, will be on that expense report. So there's nothing out of the ordinary about the expense report this month. So unless there's questions, I won't stop here. But
I got a question on page 5. On page 5, we went over on travel 126% for the year. Is that, I mean, did we just not budget enough? Was it more expensive this year than what it has been in the past?
Brad, look at page 5 and see if you can explain why we went over on travel.
Okay, and that's in the attendance program section, 72110, is that correct?
Yeah, I could have explained that. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's Mr. Murphy's travel expense for him to go to conferences, and that is on the new budget this year. It seems like he's been up and down over the years on his budgeted dollars for travel. So that is something that at the end of the year budget amendment, I will have to balance out. And we'll do that at the first, at the end of May. But in the new budget this year, if he's going to go to the conferences that he has went to in the past, we'll go back up that, increase that 6,000 budget to a higher amount. But that'll be the board's decision, of course, to do that. But that is why Chad, I think that was Chad that asked that question.
Correct.
And there was one other question I had on page 19 on early childhood education. We went over so much on that in-service and staff development on that.
Look at page 19, Brad, at in-service on early childhood education.
It's under 92%.
Yeah, that is correct. That is over right now, and that is something again that we'll have to balance. That I would balance at the end of the year. I don't know off the top of my head the exact reason for that without digging into that. To know the reason that they've had a greater need. So what I have to do is at the end of the year I will go through there and balance those. What I have to do, here's where we get a finding. For that by itself would not get a finding as long as 2 things. The category as a whole is not over at the end of the year, the budget year, and a salary line item does not go over. As long as the salary line items in that category are not over and the category, the auditors would not give us a finding. That's not to say we shouldn't balance it, because we should be balancing every line. But that's just an added, just a caveat there. But for an actual reason, we'll have to dig into that to see what the need's been and why we didn't have enough budgeted there, and do we need to budget more there next year if the board desires. Okay, any other questions on the expense report?
That's all.
So I am going to call out something on the next item, the balance sheet, only because we talked about on the payables report having liability account expenses show up on here. So if you remember, we talked about page 2 of the payables report, the liability account 21310, 21312, 21325. You can match those up with this balance sheet. Now this is going to give you the total as a whole as as of the end of the month, February 28th. But you can go to the liability section and find those numbers, 21310, 21320, and 21325. But again, that's going to be the snapshot as of February 28th. It will not give you a total daily detail throughout the whole month, but that gives you what's in that balance sheet account as of February 28th. I just thought I would add that, just since we had talked about liability accounts. But that will conclude the general fund expense report unless there's any other questions.
Anybody have anything?
Well, hey, quick question on your balance sheet since you brought that up for 21,340. Brad?
Yes.
21,340 medical insurance contribution.
Correct.
We've paid out more than we've collected. What does that? Do you know what that represents?
We don't, yeah, and we have to see that, we have to speak that up at the end of the year because we don't pay it out at the end of the month. But what happens is we typically pay that out around the second week of the month. And then there'll be more going in to that at the end. But with this one, this is one thing we're trying to get a little better handle on the tracking. Because at the end of the year, it all trues up. But we have, as a system, different pay schedules. And then 10 months a year we'll collect from employees, 2 months a year we will not, but yet we still have a 12-month payment. So what I can say is that's something we're trying to get a little better tracking on. At the end of the year we do all balance it out, but you're correct that that's not a credit, so that's technically a negative into the account. So for when we would have wrote that check out in the middle of February, it would have went negative in that account, and then more money goes in and as the checks go forward. So.
Okay, I'm just wanting to make sure that we're not, doing something that kind of got us in the position we were in several months ago when we, had to bump up some additional dollars to.
It is consistent with the way it's been for many years right now.
Okay.
And we're just working to try to, there's a lot going into there now. That's what we can say. But for tracking purposes, we're getting a little better handle on the tracking of that. Where the goal being at the end of the year, we don't have to do a big true up.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the financial report.
I'm approval of the general financial statements for February 2020.
Have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
He froze.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Is that all, Mr. Hale?
That'll be all for the general fund, and we'll go to the federal fund next.
Okay. Go ahead.
What number?
So this should be item number 7. If I'm not mistaken, that we'll pull up as the federal fund payables. And like the general fund, you're going to see a lot more line items on this one since we started including the liability accounts and checks go out of there. So you're going to, and there's a lot of different grants in federal. So you're going to see those liability accounts show up for each grant that has an employee in it that pays out. So all of those First Horizon banks that you're seeing on here is payroll taxes, FICA, and then Medicare and income tax. So the same thing, you'll see those 21310, 21320, 21325 accounts. When you see that, you'll know that it's one of those 3 items, FICA, Medicare, and income tax. TCRS, and this will be the same for the other one, for general fund, but 21330 is one of the accounts for retirement contributions to TCRS. You'll see those, it'll say consolidated RE, which means retirement. And you'll see the health insurance, which is 21340 and 21349. You'll see a lot of those on page 2. These are just added accounts you haven't seen before on the federal payables, but they've been there all along. As far as the state auditors, they've been audited. But that's why the federal payables is so much, not just one page this month. But of course, all of these were reimbursed. The payroll taxes, everything is reimbursed through federal, so nothing out of the ordinary here. But on page 1, a couple items I'll mention outside of these new liability accounts that are showing up. Brainchild, that was 3024, off of page 1. And it's just listed as study buddy programs for the Stepping Stone Academy. And that's what I know about them, but that's what's listed on the purchase order for those. And then you had 2810, which is down around line number 10, approximately PD fees for special ed. And that was 891 as far as the grant number on that. And then you'll see 1380 down the page, a little bit more DC at Beaver Crockett High School Agriculture Department. That was a state competition. And then about 3/4 of the way down Houston, Mifflin for 4300, that was special ed math. What we had on there was math 180 PD. That was also the 891 grant. And then on to the next page. Yep, some more, an APR grant reimbursement. That was a new grant from last year out of Washington County Department O, about 3/4 of the way down for 4672. I believe that was for Westview School. We want to verify that, but I'm pretty sure that was Westview. And then David Crockett and Daniel Boone Health Science, near the bottom, 1488, 1283 state competition expenses within the grant guidelines and reimbursed. So. And then on the last page, $5,000 Washington County Department of Ed, that was a reimbursement from the Fed special ed grant for, it looks like reimbursement for substitutes, which the grant guidelines allow. That's a summary of the federal fund payable report.
Annette?
I just have a quick question. This is federal. So why is the OT and the PT for SPED not coming out of federal? Why does it come out of the general?
It would depend on that specific grant guideline, which I would need to dig into the language and see why that's not in there. But the grant approved with specific guidelines and items that it approves each year. So I'll need to double check that with Dr. Myers, but I would have to say right now the grant must not allow that.
So this is, the OT and PT is coming from a grant?
That is
I'm
true.
sorry, can you repeat
That is
that?
true. And there
Well, that makes
are
sense.
state dollars set aside to support special ed, so that may be part of that.
Okay,
Yeah, I would want to dig into that a little more definitely.
okay.
Do I have a motion we accept federal?
I move for approval of the federal.
Have a second? Who seconded it? Chad? Alright. Any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Hale?
Not on the financials. We will now go to the budget draft items that the board had to review, and I can certainly take questions there. I wrote a kind of summary of where we were on the process of the grant expenses. So the templates are built, and I guess I'll stop there. I know you've had a chance to look at the summary, and then I'll add, we have had an update on medical insurance, an estimate on that since this item was put out there that I'll go over in just a moment with you. But before we go forward, did anybody have any questions with the items that you've seen so far on the budget templates? One is the must-have expenses. One is the must-haves with the extra added items in there, and then there's the summary, and I added another item that I meant to add earlier and failed to do that. But it is one that kind of gives you a list of what each item is, where it's at in the budget. I call it a budget change list. I believe that's item number 13 on here that I uploaded just before I got on the call.
I'm not seeing that.
Can I make a request? Y'all say yay or nay, but can we wait and talk about budget issues on the 27th that we have a call board meeting? If we can all come together, if we
I'll
can't
second that.
if we can't come together, then we will go into May with it. Is that all right? Everybody agreements with that?
Yes.
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 All right. Brad, is that okay with you?
Absolutely, whatever you all would like.
Well, I'd just like to get everybody in here, and if we can come back together, then
Sure.
we can talk about budget issues.
The item that I added that you all probably haven't seen yet, because I did it right before I got on the call, is listed as number 13, and it's on BOE Connect now. And it's listed as budget change. And Jennifer, I think, is pulling it up now. And you'll have to get with the view feature and enlarge the font. But you've seen that before. I do it every year. But that will tell you the top section's kind of the must-haves, meaning we're going to get hit with it whether we budget it or not. And then the bottom section is the request, and it gives you the item, what it is, how much, and then over on the far side it will give you the expense line item number that it's budgeted in. And then the director that made the request or who made the request over on the far side. But nothing we need to go over now, like you said, but that's just for your all's knowledge. You can look at it at your convenience.
Okay.
Trying to get to be reconnected.
Anything else?
That's all I have, unless someone else has anything.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Brad.
Okay.
Sorry I stepped on your toes tonight, Mr. McLean.
You step on my toes, I'm too far away.
Going over this, so.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay.
See you now.
Get her done.
All right, policy review. Do we have anything that we need to go over in policy?
We'll just take a look at what's, if you look at it in BOE Connect, the state comptroller has put out something of an edict because of this pandemic, and I'll just let you look at, let's look at 1.8011 first. If we can get that up, Jim. Well,
can I entertain a motion to waive them two policies right now in this part of the meeting?
I mean, what?
Now, wait just 1 second there, Keith. The only thing I've got is these three, but there was two more that Dr. Flannery added. And what were those numbers?
There's only 3 in there right now. That's the only 3 that I've got for you tonight.
Oh, I thought you had the
4605
two.
and
That's the ones I was talking about.
That's the one, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, that's the ones we wanted to
We
waive.
was gonna put it in new business, but if we wanna do it right here in policy, let's just do it right here in policy.
And what those numbers
That's up to
are?
you.
Will that work?
Yes, sir.
What's those numbers, Keith?
What is the numbers, Jennifer?
4.605 and 4.700. Is that correct, Dr. Flynn?
Let me look at my notes.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
And what's that last one again?
4.700 grading systems.
Okay.
Now, can I get a motion? to
When I
waive
make a
them two
motion to be
policies?
waived first reading and pass on second readings on 1.8011, 5.1151, 5.3051, 4.605, and 4.700.
We need to clarify that.
I'm only asking for the two that he asked to do in the meeting. I don't know
Okay, you're
what
not
them,
asking for those three.
not them other three yet.
The three that's in BOE Connect, we're asking that you adopt. The two that I mentioned earlier, I'm asking that you suspend.
So we need to suspend them four, what was the numbers again, Jennifer?
4.605 and 4.700.
That's the two we need to suspend.
I make a motion to suspend policies 4.605 and 4.700 to the end of the school year.
Okay, do
Second.
I have a second?
4.601.
Point of order, it takes a 2/3 vote to suspend the rule, which I won't be a problem.
Is it, I'm sorry, is it 601 or 605?
605 and 700.
Thank you.
What's going on?
All right, I need a
What you did?
roll call vote, please.
You need a second.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
Wasn't that thought I had second? All right. Roll call.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dillon?
Yeah.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Gainer? Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Good, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now them three that's in the BOE Connect.
I make a motion, we waive first reading and pass on second reading 1.8011, 5.1151, and 5.3051.
Excuse me.
Okay, hold on a minute, Mary Beth.
We're not on BOE Connect. Is there a way you could just highlight what the three are?
Yes, ma'am,
Please.
I can, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Fleener.
1.8011, TSBA sent this policy update to include provisions on paying employees while schools are closed. This is because the state comptroller's office said, if you're gonna do it, you gotta have a policy governing it. The policy acknowledges that some employees may be paid while they're working from home, or even while they are unable to work during the emergency. Now, your attorney, Scott Bennett, reviewed the policy. He added some language to include language about distance learning, and the employees involved in this program are essential. And he also added language that they can only be paid within budgetary limits. And since you can't see them or see colors, I can tell you simply that TSBA recommends it, and that your attorney has vetted it and made certain changes so that they would, the policy would be better suited to Washington County's needs. And I'll recommend passage on, that you waive first reading.
Okay, we're gonna take that one by itself. Jennifer? Roll call on that one?
And that's the 1.80.
Yep.
I didn't have it, you had a second.
Do I have a second on that?
I second.
Okay.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dillon?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Gainer?
Aye.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Okay, Mr. Flannery.
New policy 5.115.1 is a TSBA product that will
Okay.
allow Washington County employees to work from home. They're calling it telework, and it provides governance and how that can happen.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to do a root canal on
No,
that.
they're just wanting the money. They know he's supposed to.
Hello?
Is that ridiculous, Mr. Hammonds?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's a,
Hit that mute, David.
No, I don't know if are you talking to us, or you not talking to us, or what?
Yeah,
I was talking to you.
got an estimate on a price on something, so
Okay. Well,
I'm in the wrong business. Let's put it that way.
all right, we're in school boarding right now.
Oh, yeah, well, okay, I know. I just got a shock though. Go
You're
ahead.
watching this, Curtis.
66.
Okay.
I need a motion on that policy.
I make a motion.
All right, I do have
Wade first and pass on
a
second.
Wade first, and,
Wade first
and I need a
reading.
second.
Second.
Okay, to accept that policy that he just read.
Telework during an emergency. It's a
Yeah,
pretty good
still.
policy. I read
Yeah,
it
she
when it
needs to
first
say
read
it.
it.
Okay. Roll call vote, Jennifer?
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
And we are talking about, 5.1151, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
All right, finally, board members, policy 5.3051 is something that TSBA created just for Tennessee school boards so that all school systems will be in compliance with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act enacted by the General Assembly a few days ago.
Waive first reading. Okay, I need a motion.
Make a motion that we accept policy 5.3051, waiving first reading.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Urban?
Aye.
And as usual, thanks to Ashley Keys, who pulled all this together via telework.
Good job, Ashley.
She does a good job.
I lost
I have a question for you. That's the policy that we just, so how are you going, what's going to give you the ability to give anybody a grade?
All right,
Mr. Chairman,
this is almost verbatim out of state board policy anyway. We just copy and paste because that's the only thing we can do.
Okay.
What they have changed is how we use end of course grades.
Chad,
how we
you
use
have
AP
something?
test grades.
we take a
And
2-minute
your
break.
policy, until a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
required it, and by waiving it,
Go ahead.
you don't anymore, which means all I have to do is tell the teachers and principals, just follow state board rules. And then
Okay.
after this year, we
Okay.
just go back like we were.
So there is a state board that says what an A
all the policy, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We back on?
We are.
Hi, everybody. We're back. Everybody ready? WCEA. I have a letter here from,
Not new business.
This is.
oh, I did miss new business. I'm sorry. We have new business. Okay, what, we had something, Mr. Hammonds had something to bring up in new business.
Yes, I need you all to pass the offering play around. No, the.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Jason, are you there?
Huh?
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, we don't see your picture.
I'd like to increase their pay by $5 an hour just during this time because of the different responsibilities they've taken on. They're handling these sites. Been out there to 2 sites this week, and it's definitely a different realm.
Okay, I have a motion to raise their pay $5 an hour.
Who's there?
The four
The
kitchen.
four kitchen,
Through the recipient, who's paid? Pardon?
The four kitchen managers.
the four kitchen managers.
Sorry, for kitchen managers.
This is on top of the 10 that we gave them last time?
Yes,
Yes.
And is this motion just for a short amount of time or till the end of the school year?
Through this, I'm gonna say through the end of the school year while they're still feeding the children, while we're under the COVID-19, where the governor has the schools called out. It's temporary.
How many days a week do they work?
Okay,
Question.
I have a, okay, go ahead, Mary. Well, I need a second on his motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Now,
I have-
discussion.
How
Go
many
ahead, Mary
days
Beth.
they work?
4 days a week.
4 days a week?
Has anybody estimated what this would cost us?
Don't,
Let me think.
So they
Maybe
have more
no more than
responsibility.
$150 a day.
about $150 a day.
Not more.
Annette,
Where's the money coming from? Whose budget?
It should come from general fund, and also we're paying, saving $10,000 a week in fuel by the schools being out, and I believe that comes from the general fund, does it not?
it would come from from transportation, that fund balance. I mean, that,
They're paid through dietary. We'll be all right.
Do we have any, do they have any overtime?
well, they're supposed to pay us back.
You know, I don't know. I guess
Because that's time and that's gonna be time and a half on top of
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what
supposed to be paid
I'm
back.
asking.
I don't
is
know that
where's
they're
it
getting
gonna come
over 8
from?
hours
Because
a day.
I don't wanna put any stress on dietary, but I do believe they are
I'm
stretching those
I don't
hours
think
at
they're
this
getting
point
over
now,
40 hours
just
a
to
week.
take care of our
Yes,
kids.
they would.
I mean, we're fed 11,000 meals yesterday. Somebody's working overtime.
Well, Chad, go ahead, you have something?
Is this gonna be reimbursed by the federal government?
Yes, I think that the money that you're calling hazardous pay is something that we turn in to be reimbursed under the CARES Act.
Mary Beth?
They do have more responsibility. And we voted, the last time at our called meeting to give everybody $10, but that doesn't take into a lot of their extra responsibilities. Is that what I'm understanding?
They get paid more.
Well, to me, if you're asking me, it's a whole different ballgame. Real easy to sit in a boardroom last month and make a decision or make a vote, but it's another thing to just pull up and them not knowing you're showing up and seeing the chaos that some of them have experienced and seeing them run around
and plus they are exposing themselves. And right now, so far, you've got 26% across the country government or these type of situations, they're looking at increasing hazardous pay. Now, that's not a large number percentage-wise, but as we talked last meeting, we're in uncharted waters. There, you know, we're investing in our people, and I'm sure they will probably, knowing the people we've got in Washington County school system, many of them would do it free. But I just think that, honestly, I think we owe it to them.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
All right. At our last board meeting, this board voted down the program that Dr. Flannery and our Caitlin had put into place, which was to pay them $100 a day and $70, and this board voted that down, okay? Then somebody came up with the idea to pay them $10 an hour, and this board voted for it. Now you want to pay them an extra $5 on top of that without us having any idea how much it's going to be and where it's going to come from. And I think before we can vote this, we need to ask Mr. Hale to tell us how much it's going to be and where it's going to come from.
Well, where was the $70 or $100 before going to come from?
From the dietary fund, and it will cost less than $150 a day.
Did y'all hear Mr. Flannery?
No.
Go ahead, Dale, say it. Mr.
All right,
Flannery,
I've got a
say it again.
note here from Brad. He says he doesn't know that Caitlin can fund the additional increase. The savings from fuel, diesel fuel, is going to have to fund the $260,000 for regular dietary. He says we don't have the money to pay this unless it comes out of the general fund. From what? It's good, but I know what it means. There's only two funds out there in general.
Okay, any more discussion? I need a second on Mr. Hammond's.
You already have.
I do?
I second.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, Mary Beth.
Uh,
Roll call vote, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Mitch has gone to the restroom. Hold on.
Mr. Irvin,
Yes,
I say again, we need to have a dollar amount attached to this before we vote on it. We need to know that it's costing X amount.
well, I have a motion and a second.
I thought Dr. Flannery said $150 a day. And I
$600
missed that.
a week. How many weeks of school are
Mr.
left?
Flannery said about $150 a day is what it's
I'm
going to
talking,
cost.
what I need is the total expenditure that's getting ready to come out of our general budget.
I don't think you can give a general. I don't think they can give a figure right now, honestly, because the meals are increasing daily that they're handing out, and this is not a fixed budget item. This is to deal through an emergency type situation. So it's not going to be a fixed budget issue, and we always find money for everything else.
Mr. Ganger, you have something to say?
Yeah, if the amount of meals is increasing, I'd rather look, we didn't agree to pay everybody $10 an hour, like it was said. We agreed to pay up to 10 people. And I'd rather, if the load is increasing that much, I'd rather look and see if Ms. Cott needs 15 people as a 10, as opposed to 10. Maybe increase the amount of people if the workload is getting that much. I'd rather increase the amount of people that we pay $10 an hour.
I can address that. I asked her, by the way, Ms. Shue just texted and said that she does have enough money in dietary to pay the $5. I asked her about taking the cap off, the 10-person per site cap off. She said it'd be a nice gesture, but she doesn't have that many people available anyway that are volunteering. Some people simply cannot work because they're at risk.
But who are you gonna put in there? I mean, if you're gonna
Teachers.
put somebody in there and require them to work.
We are at the point now to where we're going to have to these volunteer teachers and administrators for this kitchen help.
So my question is can the hourly people that are not working, could they be asked to come back in and pay them the $10 like he's suggesting?
I thought that was what was supposed to be in place anyway.
They are.
Okay.
They are, there are just so many people working food service. And a lot of them have reasons that they just cannot work at this point. They can't be in public under this CARES law. She has enough help right now, but she doesn't have so much surplus capacity that she needs that 10 per site cap limit.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Jason.
I just wanted to ask, are we serving more meals now than we do when school's in?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yes.
We served 11,000 meals yesterday, and we've only got 8,300 students.
And what do we serve when school's in session?
Probably 3,500, 4,000 meals a day.
Well, but we figured that we were serving 2,000 students when you throw out the number of.
But it doesn't matter. There's how many meals have to
Well, I know,
go.
but it's more condensed down into so if you.
There is that, but they're prepared separately. I mean, there's a lot of work goes into it.
Are we not feeding 2-year-olds through?
Any child age 0 to their 18th birthday.
Okay,
It doesn't matter if they live in the county.
that's what I thought.
And that will stop on the 24th if we come back to school.
Come back to school.
Theoretically, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay. I have
But you
a
said
motion.
But Dr. Flannery said it would come out of the dietary budget.
Caitlin said she thought she could handle it.
If the motion's made that way,
Yes.
it's not right now.
That's fine, I'll change my motion if that, I'll amend it or change it to where it comes out of the dietary fund.
Hey, Keith,
Yes.
so does this go back to what Mr. McLean mentioned a while ago about we voted against? Are we going back and voting for, basically? Is that where we're at?
We're voting
No.
to give 4 people a $5 raise. That's the what's their title?
Cafeteria manager.
Cafeteria managers. They are going to get a $5 raise for what they're doing
Through May the
Okay, on top of their 10.
on top of their 10.
through May
Just
the
them 4 people that it's costing $150 a day, roughly.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask for the motion, the roll call vote on this.
Mr. Hammond said that, that his motion was to include come out of the dietary.
Yeah.
Does Ms. Dellinger need to agree to that?
Do you agree to that?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's through May the 24th, right?
April the 24th. Is that
Mr.
right?
Chairman, can I say one thing?
Say what?
Oh, can I say, just add one thing on it was brought up, we could pay $70 or the $100 last time. And I think the thinking behind the motion of $10 an hour was you might have some people working 3 hours a day, some 6 hours a day. And it was just to balance out. You know, you could have somebody come in for 3 hours, take home $70, or somebody working addition, or working 9 hours and they're making an additional $70. So I think in addition to the hourly pay, but I think that was the reason behind doing an hourly pay instead of just a blanket $70 or $100 a day. I could be wrong, but
Well, they're getting their regular pay, plus they're getting this extra. So
right.
That's pretty good. So, roll call vote, Jennifer.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger? Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Okay, does anybody else have anything in new business?
Like the computers, I think we should, go ahead and give permission to serve the 6th through 8th graders. They all should have, emails, which they can do Google Meet with their teacher if they need help on math or whatever. Some of our teachers are having office hours where they can be contacted, and the kids know what hours using band. And I just think it would be better for our kids if they could be able, that don't have the devices, and it shouldn't be every 6th through 8th grader, but they could come and check out one and return it at the end of the year. So I'd like to make a motion that we allow the staff to let those kids take the Chromebooks home in grades 6 through 8.
Can we,
We'll make it work.
do I
I'll
have a
second
second?
that. I want to ask a question.
I need a second on the
He did,
motion.
he seconded.
You seconded? Okay, what's
Yep.
your discussion? Go ahead, Chad.
Dr. Flannery, I know that, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to that money that the state's getting from the federal government, but to help with the proficiency in the kids and their learning, is there not a way to get some money to buy some new Chromebooks for more students?
Yes, sir, part of that, one of the things in the CARES Act allows for the purchase of technology for this purpose. Now, a lot of it depends on what the state of Tennessee puts in the plan that they submit for approval from the feds. But Commissioner Swin said in her last web meeting or phone call that that was one of the options Tennessee was exploring. So yes, that will probably happen, but we won't see that money until, I'm guessing, late May at the earliest.
Well, do we need to go ahead and say that we want to go 1-to-1 for the kids to have a Chromebook, and that way we can put in for that money?
That could be part of Washington County's plan that we submit to Nashville.
Does that need to be a separate motion, or is that something we can entertain here?
I'm not even sure what the, what that's gonna look like. It may not even require board action, but, I think that we have already demonstrated that the device availability is a big need, particularly in South Washington County. So I think, Mr. Flynn, you can count on that.
I wonder, she also mentioned that today. Commissioner Swin talked about that today too, that we could be reimbursed for technology, but I don't know as far as how that will go down. Also, she indicated too, for Wi-Fi for families that don't have connections.
I suspect that we have enough devices on hand since school is out to take care of the need right now. But going forward, we'll probably need to increase the number of pieces of technology that we have. But who knows when this may ever happen again.
Dr. Flannery, would it be better for me to amend that motion and not put the 6 through 8 in there, just so if you have kids and you have the devices that you can rent, that you can
We'll call
them out?
We'll send them home with a 6-year-old if you want to.
No, I mean, I didn't know if that would
I'd
give
like
more
to do it,
flexibility. If you had extra, because not all 6th through 8th graders are going to need them. Some of them have their own devices.
Like Daniel Boone with 1,300 kids, we've only had to check out 75 computers.
So
we've probably got the number.
So what I'm asking is would you prefer to leave it open-ended to be able to decide on your staff's recommendation to send those home with kids?
I would appreciate the flexibility.
Okay, so, Caitlin,
You'd like to change your motion?
I'd like to change my motion.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to change my motion to allow Dr. Flannery and his staff to send home Chromebooks with those kids that need them, and leave deciding who needs them up to them.
I'll second that amended motion.
6th grade up.
No, if they have a 4th grader that has the ability to connect but doesn't have one, they can decide if that Chromebook could go home with them. Because,
Okay.
you know, he, like he said, he had all those kids and only 75 was checked out. And, you know, I have a 7th grader. She doesn't need one of these, but there could be another kid in our community from Lamar that needs it in the 4th grade. So I'm saying that they should be allowed to make that decision.
Could I ask, is your intent one per household?
I think that would be, I think 1 per household would be good because there's so many hours in a day.
Okay, you still second the motion, Chad?
Yes, I will.
Okay,
But that, you know, that
any
leaves it
more
up to you
discussion? Seeing none? Roll call vote?
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Fleener?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Buchanan?
too. Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Meredith?
Yes.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye. Okay. Anything else in new business? Okay.
Question I can ask you.
All right.
Where are we at with the roof at Jonesboro Elementary?
It is still under construction. The son's out there working.
Well, my question, I guess, because I think in one update, you said they were 90% complete. Was that right? Because I'm gonna be honest, who is the company that's doing it? Do you remember?
That outfit out of Morristown. That's
Okay,
what
'cause
we usually use.
I happened to be by there at 2:30 today, and they were all gone. It was a beautiful day, and at 2:30 they were gone. And I just want this board to keep in mind, the next time we do a roof, who the company was, and I don't guess there was a time period to get this done. And that might be something we need to make sure we kind of look at next time as a time frame. And 'cause I'll be honest, I'm not real happy, because I've been by there on nice days and they haven't been there. And then there was like 5 people there today, and it was as nice a day as we're gonna get. And
Well, I went by there this morning and I seen some working on it this morning, but
Right.
I wasn't by there at 2:30.
2:30 they were gone.
Gone.
Maybe
Okay.
it's finished.
I don't know.
I talked to Philip about it earlier today, and it's just underway. It's on his-
Okay.
Do we know the name of the company?
I can't think of it either. I have a letter here from Regina France. It says, the Washington County Board of Education, this is under WCEA, okay? The Washington County Board of Education Association wishes to thank the Director Flannery and the school board members for their quick actions on closing schools during the COVID-19 epidemic and for getting meals out to children. Thank you for considering the well-being of all students and staff of Washington County. It has come to our attention that some other school systems in Tennessee are not as frugalent in regards to safety and responsibilities staff mandates during this trying times. You are commended for having best interest at heart. Families experience for meals and learning packets. We all trust that you will do what is best for students and staff in the near future, and we appreciate everything you are currently doing to maintain the current new normal. Sincerely, Regina France. I just read that for you all. Thank you, Regina. Round table. I'm going to start with Annette.
I just want to put out a special thanks to our staff and our employees that are stepping up to the plate, finding many ways to keep their kids engaged, for the staff that are feeding our kids, all the volunteers. It means a lot to see our communities come together and take care of each other.
Mr. Meredith?
Hopefully this, flattened curve will continue to flatten and we can get back to life as normal. You know, thanks to all the parents out there who are, now having to have children at home all day long, and I'm sure that, this is gonna be a time in their lives that they'll remember for a long time. And I do thank all the staff and those volunteers that are showing up to help with the heavy lifting and the light lifting at the schools to keep the children in Washington County and those that need it fed. So thank you very much.
Mr. Hammonds?
I just want to thank staff, the school system, the administration. They've really proven they can lead in trying times. Appreciate all the people we're feeding. And a big thank you to the technology department, because they're fueling the classrooms that are going out, so to speak, and getting the information to the students. So I'm really impressed, Dr. Flannery, with the system, with your administrators. You all are proven.
Ms. Dillinger?
I want to thank our teachers, staff who stepped up to educating students in these unusual circumstances. I also want to thank everyone who's helped their students. I appreciate even parents and families for their patience and understanding. This is new territory, and we're all doing the best we can. And happy Easter Day.
Mr. McLean?
I already made my comment earlier about how much I appreciate Dr. Flannery and Kate and Kite for the food service department, what they've done, and I just ditto what Dillinger said about the teachers and technology and all that they're doing to continue to challenge our students in learning. Wish everybody to stay safe and see everybody later this month. Goodbye.
Mr. Flainer?
Yes, I want to echo what everybody else has been saying. The dietary workers have been doing a great job. Appreciate all their help, all the hard work they've been doing feeding the kids. I want to thank all the people that have come in and helped and volunteered, and our teachers being flexible, central office staff stepping up their game and everything. This right here just proves the point that we've got the best system around, in my opinion, and we've got some great people. Also want to say that this week's been, or this past 2 weeks, Miss Esser, that was the librarian at Gray, Miss Archie, the music teacher, and Ruth Buckingham, that worked in the school cafeteria there in Gray, all passed away during the last 2 weeks. Just want to remember family. And this week is also the National Assistant Principals Week, and just want to thank all our assistant principals for all the hard work they've done, and just want to thank everybody for everything that they've been flexible to meet the needs. Thanks.
Mr. Day?
I think you guys covered it all. Thanks to all the cafeteria workers and all the staff. I know everybody's doing a great job, and hopefully we can get through this and get back together soon.
Mr. Ganger?
I also appreciate everyone in the system that's reaching out to the kids somehow, some way. There's many different ways. Whether it's teachers, principals, cafeteria workers, central office, whoever's reaching out to kids different ways. So we do appreciate that. And also, I appreciate everybody finding a way to get together to do this meeting tonight. I know it wasn't ideal, but I also appreciate the board. Still, we're still looking for ways to save money, and we did that tonight by bidding out that insurance, which was huge, and that's almost $500,000 now we're going to save. So, that's continue to look for ways that we can save and help the system out. But that's all I got.
Okay, I have on here a called meeting on April the 28th, and
Where's the 27th?
Jennifer just said it was the 28th.
Yeah, I gave the wrong date.
Oh,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. I we may have it and we may not, okay? Because I would much rather have everybody in person. So let's just, if we find out on the 24th that he lifts this,
It's the 30th that they're gonna call that.
it's the 30th?
We're
I thought it's the
closed-
24th when the governor's would lift
20.
this thing.
Oh, well, from my understanding from watching all of this, you know, we're not supposed to do anything till the 30th because we were supposed to be out for 30 days.
He closed schools till the,
He closed school till the 24th, so if he opens school up, then he's gonna lift these bans.
Okay.
My question is, do we not have to have a budget by May 1st
Comptroller,
submitted?
we have to have something submitted to the courthouse by May first.
So I don't think, unless they change that, we need to have a meeting.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have a meeting on the 27th, or the 28th, I'm sorry.
What time?
5 o'clock, is that all right with everybody?
28.
Yes. Is that
What
good with
time?
everybody? 5 o'clock?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
you're obviously familiar with the law about the revenue estimates. When do you think we might get that?
Budget committee will be considering that tomorrow. Now, whether or not they can get a number to you before the commission meets, I don't know. But I suspect it'll be, I mean, it's about what it was last year.
We're kind of stuck in dead water until we get that
I
number.
mean, you know, there hasn't been any moves to add any pennies anywhere.
So you don't
As quick as we get something in writing, quick as board, you know, you guys can get your.
And it's
Okay,
it's really
everybody.
not clear. I mean,
Jennifer has something to say.
I received your board transcripts today for the board
Comptroller sent
membership,
me a letter, said you will
and I'll be
get
sending
back
those
about
out to
June
you
1st.
probably at the first of the week.
I got one
I'll
too.
email them, and if you can email me back,
Yeah, we got the same.
let's say whatever that next Monday is, of any changes, cause a lot of it I won't know unless you tell me. So just look at your transcripts and let me know what you need to update.
Commission. Thank you, Jim.
That was by when, Jennifer?
We can have it like a week from Monday, that would be great.
Okay. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter and everybody be safe, and thank you all for doing this. I'd rather see you all in person than on a screen. Meeting adjourned.
See y'all. Happy Easter.